Cameraman West. We have a beautiful January day, man. We've still got a lot of snow on the ground, but it's toasty warm inside the studio here at the Steel Horse Thunder Cafe. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
We're doing, beard ass bad. Say it.
Badass
beard care. That is so hard. Why is it so hard for me to say that? Badass beard care is I'm from New York. The R's are hard to find for me, and but yeah, I mean, have you noticed it? How it works in the wintertime?
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed anything, but for me, I get a lot of static electricity.
Oh yes.
And it seems like the oil and stuff, it seems to calm all that down. I don't feel like it's all frizzed out like crazy anymore. So this is actually the perfect podcast for Badass Beard Care. Because I know Badass Beard Care is military based.
Yep.
It's veteran owned. They're based here in America. I mean, West Coast, but still, it's America. We won't fault them for that.
No.
But yeah, I just noticed with the oil and stuff, I just noticed how it's calmed my beard down because my hair goes everywhere.
Right. Yeah, I didn't actually notice it, but now that you say it, I do. Because like the other day, I didn't have any in, and the static was crazy while I was working. Because we have like metal carts and stuff I'm constantly having to touch. And I keep getting shocked every time.
All right, well, we've got Badass Beard Care on board, so we're happy about that. And like I said, it ties in perfect with our guest today. Who is our guest today?
We have a special guest. He works with veterans, and he is a veteran himself. And his name is Brad Osborne.
Now, is it true that he is the youngest of Ozzy and Sharon?
I don't know. You might have to ask him that one. But yeah. If you get on Badass Beard Care's, wow, I couldn't even say it. Check out the link in the description. When you go to the website, get to the checkout screen, put Steel Horse in for the discount code, so it'll save you 10%. And then we also get a kickback on that purchase.
Nice.
So it's a win-win for everybody there.
Win-win for everybody, and you're getting a great product made here in America by veterans.
Yep.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. What do you say? Should we just not waste any more time and just go ahead and bring our guest on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. Go get him, will you?
All right.
But Brad Osborne, I got to ask you.
Sure.
Okay, first question. I got to find out for sure. Are you the youngest of Ozzy and Sharon Osborne?
Not of Ozzy and Sharon Osborne, but I do have a funny story about that. Okay, so my uncle was the bassist for the band Coven. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Coven. They were a 70s band, essentially 70s protest music. Their biggest hit was 110 Soldier from the Legend of Billy Jack movies. If you know. So that is my connection to Oz Osborne. So that is a fun fact that I get to throw out there every once in a while for people.
Dude, I remember going to the movie theater and watching Billy Jack.
Yep, I've seen it.
110 Soldier Rides Away. I mean, my gosh, that was a great movie.
Yeah, that was their one hit wonder of the 70s.
I was gonna say that was the only one I could come up with when you said the band. I was like,
there's a couple others that some diehard people know, but that was kind of their thing. So.
All right, well, Brad, I got you here. This is the reason why I really wanted you on the podcast. This is Steel Horse Thunder and Beyond. Steel Horse Thunder, it's a motorcycle show. We deal with, we don't really deal a whole lot with the outlaw side of things, that what they call the 1%ers. 1%ers, I was like, that's where everybody focuses on that. It's like, how about the other 99%? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so that's kind of what we focus on, is the other 99%. Now, I have friends that are 1%ers. I've done things with the 1%er clubs. Never had an issue with anybody. Got a lot of good friends doing that. But we just kind of focus on the other 99%. And in that group, the vast majority of those riders are military.
Yeah.
They're either retired military or, I am not a military person myself, so please forgive me right up front if I say if I state something wrong, because I am a civilian through and through. But we just have so many veterans that ride, and we've done a lot of big rides with Rolling Thunder. We rode out to DC for the big demonstration ride that they used to do every year on Memorial Day.
Okay.
And there'd be 1 million motorcycles showing up in DC, and we had a big demonstration ride, and it was all about the POWs and the MIAs. So that's why I wanted you on here, because obviously a lot of our listeners are military people, veterans, or whether retired or still active, or I'm trying to think of the word when you're no longer kind of like active, but you're in reserves.
Yeah, reserves.
A lot of people. I know a lot of people that are in the reserves, and so you have a thing coming up. What is your experience as far as military? What is your what do they call you in the military, or what did you do?
What was my MOS?
Are you still active military?
No,
Okay.
no. I am since long removed, and that's part of the story based on what we'll get into later. But I know I joined the military right out of high school, and just did my time while I was in there. A few years. It was not any type of long contract. I was what they call a one and done, essentially one contract done. And I got out essentially right before 9/11 essentially happened.
Wow, okay.
So months before that happened, I exited the military. So there were some fun phone calls. I had to go back. I had to, people don't realize that when you get out, you're actually dedicated for 8 years. Regardless of how long your first contract is, you're in for 8 years, right? The government has that right to call you back. And right after that happened, my newly married wife at that time was a little nervous because I got a phone call to go get recalled and go to Bloomington to get a new physical and things like that. I had been out long enough, though, that they thankfully didn't want me back. They were like, "No, you're good, Brad. Stay where you're at." And I'm like, "That's cool. I'm good. I'm good staying home at that point of my career." So, but I was infantry and also a paratrooper. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah. So I was on Fort Benning and did some work at Ranger School and also infantry officer basic course. So I was basically cadre the whole time. I was not, unfortunately, when you're infantry, sometimes you get slotted into odd places, and that's kind of where I fell.
Okay. All right. So now you've been removed now for a while.
I have. Yes.
And but we have this thing coming up here. The real. And I know you're wearing a Real shirt.
I am.
On here. What is Real, and how does it pertain to the Military Expo that we're going to be talking about?
Real is a real estate company, a national real estate company. And Real Military is a division within that company. And we service the veteran population, the active duty and veteran population. Obviously, we're more well known where large bases are, San Diego, or even down in Kentucky and Tennessee and places that have a large military presence. The disadvantage I have here is Camp Atterbury is essentially, in this area, the largest active military base, and there's not that many active duty people there. There's only about 300 or so actual active duty members there. So there's just not a large presence of military, but we do have a large veteran population in Indiana. So
that's for sure. That I can agree 100% with that. It's like I said, most of our viewers are military. So this you guys have an expo coming up. And tell me about this expo. It's the Real Military Expo. What's this going to be about? Okay,
so essentially, for lack of better terms, the Real Military Expo is a vendor fair. to dumb it down for people that have never done anything like it's a vendor fair. So we're going to have
similar to like a job fair or whatever, where you're kind of going in and you're meeting different.
Yeah. Just, we're going to have different organizations that service the veteran population, or even if you are currently in like the Guard or the Reserves or even active duty, you can benefit from this, because it's not just going to be people that service the veteran, quote, veteran population. It's going to be anybody, including families, on how to get benefits for those family members too that may not know that they're entitled to benefits for different things. Mm-hmm. So everything from mental health to just VA benefits in general, because they're so, I was looking at some stats before I came on just to kind of have a throw out a stat, but only there's about 5.7 million veterans that claim any type of disability benefit, right? And that's only 30% of the population.
Wow.
So, or only 30% of the veteran population. Right. So that needs to change a little bit, because it's more of lack of asking for help, not that you don't need it. Mm-hmm. So,
speaking of that, what is the greatest need? Now, I know through we cover a lot of charity rides and a lot of different motorcycle rides, and again, a lot of them are designed around the military and stuff like that. And so we do the oh gosh, I can't even think of the name of it right now. But it's about kind of suicide awareness. Yeah. It's because it has gotten so bad amongst our veterans. Mm-hmm. What would you doing this? What do you see as the greatest need that our veterans and our military people? What is their greatest need right now? Would it be the mental health, or is it more of the trying to buy a home? People that have been active duty and they've been gone and now they're coming back and they're trying to reestablish. What do you find as the greatest needs?
So just backing up just a smidge, I'll go back to kind of why I decided to do this, right? Because I'm organizing this whole thing kind of grassroots. So it took me personally, let's see here, 21 years to ask for help, right? To ask for any type of benefit, to ask for anything. Because when you get out, especially if you're in the infantry or any type of combat MOS, regardless if you go over or not, they tell you that you don't need to ask for help. You're tougher than that, because that's the mindset you have to have. Mm-hmm. When you're in combat, when you're in those types of situations, you have to have the I'm going to rely on me, and I'm going to protect my brother and my sister to the right and left of me from those issues. But when we get out, they never tell you how to deal with it, right? And they never tell you where to go for help. They're getting better, but when I got out in the early 2000s, like I said, right before 9/11, they were terrible at that kind of stuff. They just kind of let you out, and they went, "Ta-da, there you go, goodbye," And now, since we've had some of the other, things like PAC Act and some of that other stuff come on board, they're getting better, but they're still not perfect by any means. So, in my opinion, 20 years is way too long to ask for any type of benefit.
Right.
And the sole reason I reached out to the military, to the VA, was because I had heard through the grapevine that one of the benefits I had, which I didn't know about, again, was my son got to go to college tuition free in the state of Indiana if I was rated as some sort of disability rating. And of course, you never want to admit that you have any problems as a military person. So, I went to the VA and didn't have a great experience the first VSO I had. So I went again to another one that a family member that it was a veteran had recommended, and had a great experience and got, rated. And long story short, now I'm rated at 60% and have a lot more benefits than I did, which includes my son going to University of Southern Indiana tuition free, and I pay room and board.
Right.
But he gets to go tuition free, and that's a benefit that Indiana gives us. It's not even a national benefit; it's just Indiana, and it's something that I earned, from being there and giving the body and the sacrifice that we did. So that's why I'm doing this, is to help people have a central place to ask all these questions. What kind of benefits do I have? What other programs besides just VA programs are out there to help me do whatever I need to accomplish?
Well, I think that, and that's what it takes. It's, I use the example of breast cancer. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, now again, I'm quite a bit older than you, but I just remember back in the day, women especially never talked about breast cancer. Mm-hmm. That was just something you didn't bring up, because God forbid we talk about a boob. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, oh my God, you can't say boobs. And it was just, and women were dying from breast cancer. Now again, I understand it still does happen on occasion now, but very rarely now. Now people started talking about it, and it's like now we do rides all the time where it's Save the Twins or I Love Boobies ride and stuff like that, and we just kind of, but because people finally started talking about it and they started being vocal about it, you take that stigma away, that stigma of, oh, you can't talk about breast cancer. I've been very heavily involved in a lot of the different suicide prevention programs and stuff. I dealt with suicide, not myself, but I've lost a child to suicide and many friends to suicide, and so for me that's something that's hit close to home for me. So that's something, and it was the same way when you said suicide. It's well, like, oh man, how'd they die? Well, it was suicide. You know what I mean? You whispered it. It was almost like telling a dirty joke in a place you're not supposed to tell it. Right. You're in church and you go, when you want to tell a dirty joke and you're trying to whisper it because you shouldn't be saying it.
Sure.
That's kind of how suicide was. It was like, oh no, you can't say that, And over the years now, we have talked much more about it. Mm-hmm. In fact, the military, what do they have? Mission 22, I think is what it's called.
Yeah. There's several charities
several
out
different
there.
Ones, and I know that's some of the rides that we've gone on to have had that logo, and but again, now it's something that we talk more about it, and that's why I was curious. Is it more of a physical need, more of the mental health? Is it more of placement, that kind of stuff? Or do you kind of hit all of that with this expo?
It's going to hit all of it with the expo. I mean, if you're talking about just somebody in general, I think what happens for a lot of us is the physical need turns into the mental need, right? Because my back hurts. I can't work. I can't do this. I can't do that. I know for the longest time, I had problems breathing. I didn't know why. Come to find out I have asthma. Why? Well, the PAC Act, the little letter I got in the mail said, you were exposed to this, this, and this. Oh. I'm glad the military finally admitted it, and I was able to go get a benefit because of that. And really, the whole point of getting your benefits is not necessarily to get the money, but there is a monetary benefit that comes with it, but to get taken care of medically, and not have that burden of having to have insurance and things, and anything from life insurance to just regular medical insurance, and taking that burden off your family, that in case something does happen to employment or something like that, that you don't have at least the insurance benefit that you have to worry about. You're covered with the military. But yeah, I think a lot of times not asking for help and realizing you need it, but not even knowing where to go, don't even know where to start. I mean, most people don't even know where the VA office is, and I live in Johnson County. They don't even know where it is. I live in Greenwood. I didn't even realize that the department or the Disabled American Veterans had one of their headquarters, their hubs, in almost literally my backyard.
Huh.
And it's just right there behind Oak and Barrel. It's you'll never see it unless you go back there. It's huge, big, beautiful building, as they say. But I had no idea, and I didn't know what they did until I met with them in reference to the expo. You know what all they covered and what services they offered and things like that. So there's so many services out there that even people that are looking for them, such as myself, don't even know that they exist. I couldn't imagine what it would be like for somebody that, is just sitting there wondering if these things even exist, let alone trying to look for them and how to find them. So,
and that's kind of what this fair will be. This expo will be is somewhere they can come. Now this is going to be in Greenwood at the Greenwood High School, correct?
Correct. Greenwood High School just got their Purple Star. So that's a new thing with Indiana and high schools in general, and they're now considered a Purple Star school, which means they're military friendly. I think that's because Greenwood has a lot of veterans in it. I know from my son going to Greenwood High School at one point, there is a large veteran community there. A lot of the parents I knew, were veterans there, so that's good. But they have to do certain things to meet those criterias to become a Purple Star school. I'm not 100% sure what they are, but I know they reached out to me to host it when I asked the community where a venue would be. So
very good. So we're talking about March 8th. So we're only, less than 2 months away.
Yeah.
So it's not
there.
Yeah, it's not that far off now. March 8th, it's going to be at Greenwood High School. I know it's like 3 hours, but like 1 hour, the first hour is from 9 to 12.
Yes.
With at 9 o'clock, there's a breakfast. Yeah,
Greenwood High School has really gotten on board on the whole thing, and they're going to do a breakfast for anybody that wants it. I'm assuming there's a ticket link in here. It's free. Everything's free. It's more for head count so that I can tell the school how many people are going to come to the breakfast and things like that. Just
gotcha.
That way they have enough food, because we don't want them to underbuy, but we sure don't want them to overbuy and waste a bunch of money. But there's a breakfast from 9 to 10, and then from 10 to noon it's going to be the expo. We've got access to their auditorium, so I don't know. I'm still working with some vendors if they want to do any type of short presentation or something in the auditorium. But yeah, it's going to be one big hallway, and we're gonna have tables set up, and everybody, like I said, from the VA hospital downtown to the Johnson County VSOs, the VA there is going to be there to answer questions on things, disabled American veterans, healthcare, or mental health people, and things of that nature. Even IU Health is going to be there, because if you don't know, veterans, because of our exposure to things, a lot like firefighters and things, are more susceptible to lung cancer. So they're going to be there to sign up people for lung screenings and things like that. And so we're going to have a variety of vendors there. I hope there's something for everybody, whether it's the Legion, just to get involved in the community, because we have 2 Legions in Greenwood. Most people don't even know about the other one. I didn't, again, until you look out for things. We have Post 252 on 31. Everybody knows that one. But Post 1919 is tucked away with the new VFW in Greenwood, which is kind of off the right there before the interstate of 65 on Main. You kind of there's a big warehouse.
The meeting was at.
I was gonna say I've been to that one, because we know some of the people that ride with VFW riders there, and we did a couple meetings there. Yeah,
so they've got some really nice facilities there too. So hopefully there's something for everyone there, and just to kind of also bring the community together. Get to know people, introduce yourself. There'll be housing things there, obviously, for myself, learning about VA loans and how to go about getting your requirements. And there's different requirements for different factions of people, whether you're regular Army or National Guard and Army Reserve. There's different qualifications for home loans and things like that. So we'll be going over some of that stuff and having packets of information for people and stuff like that.
All right. Now, this is for veterans, obviously. I'm assuming active, retired, all that, right? Mm-hmm. What if, say you're a person like me.
Okay.
I didn't have any kind of military background. My parents, you know what I mean? My grandparents, none of them. Well, actually, my grandparents, I'm sure they did, because that would have been during all the world wars and all that stuff.
Sure.
So I'm sure they did, but you know what I'm saying? But in my immediate family, none of us went. Me growing up, I turned 18 in 79, right? So Vietnam ended, already ended a few years ago, and it was just kind of one of those things, like my older brother, he would have been drafted, but the war ended at that time, so they were not taking people in anymore. But I didn't have any kids go through it or anything else, but I've always had a heart for the military. Now, you said you went right out of high school.
I did. Yep.
I personally, now as an old man, when I look back, I mean, honestly, as far as regrets, now, again, I grew up in the 60s and 70s. I've got some regrets, okay? I'm just saying.
Thankfully, it was before iPhones, right?
But, yeah, way before. There were no cameras.
Okay,
yes.
There's no proof.
Dude, it was so much easier growing up back then than it is now. There were no cameras anywhere.
Even the 80s and 90s was good.
Yeah, you didn't have cameras on every corner of the street and every building and all that crap. You could do whatever you wanted. But, I mean, as far as regrets, though, we all have whatever. But, I mean, the one thing I really wish I would have done was when I got out of high school, I wish I would have just gone and gotten in there and did whatever it was back in the day, 2 years, 4 years, whatever it was you signed up for.
Yeah.
My buddy went to the Navy, tried talking me into it, and I didn't do it. And he went in, I think, for 4 years, and then when he was done, he was done with it. It wasn't for him. But I wish I would have done that. That's probably my biggest regret. And I was married once before. I got married to the person I'm married to now, okay? I have a wrong wife in my past. And still, one of my biggest regrets was that I did not go in the military at the time. But I love doing so many things with our veterans and stuff like that. Can a civilian get involved with stuff like these expos or something like that? I mean, is there anywhere for them to help volunteer or anything like that?
Oh yeah. There's all kind, like you mentioned like the Mission 22 type stuff. They have so many different events and that you can do within that particular subset of this, but I know, again, I'll plug Disabled American Veterans. They have a lot of things too that volunteer and things. They do things like pass out backpack kits to homeless veterans downtown and stuff like that. They run some of that stuff. The Legion has different things that, even though you're not a veteran, you can still volunteer for.
Okay.
And stuff like that. When they have, their fundraisers and this, that, and the other. But yeah, there's all kinds of groups out there that you can still get involved and do things. And then you can also start one of your own if you wanted to. I mean, I'm doing this Real Military Expo. I have no idea if it's going to work, but, a wise man once said, if you build it, they will come. So I'm going to build it and see what happens, and hopefully it turns out to be an annual event. I mean, I'm under no delusion. It could go one way or the other. Right? It's either going to blow up and we're going to have a great time, or 5 people will come and we're still going to have a great time. But I don't care if it's 1 or 1,000. If that person or those people that come get something out of it, then it's worth all the hours and the time that you and the money and things that you spend doing it. So if I can help one person figure out either how to file benefits or get something that they need, mental health wise or physical health wise, then to me that's winning.
And it's something I just thought about it while we're talking about all this. It's like, because I know like cameraman Wes, he's got a son that's in the military active right now. So obviously he could go in there, and as a family member or whatever, but what if I knew a guy that could probably use some of this information, and I know there's no way they can make it to the expo. As a civilian, would I be able to go into this expo and say, hey, I have a real good buddy of mine, couldn't make it here, but I'd love to get this information about this or about that. Is that something you could, like somebody like me could do that here at this expo?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping that you can pick up any information you need for that person, whether it be, I know I talked about the lung cancer thing, maybe it's somebody you're concerned with on that, or maybe it's learning about property taxes and property tax benefits. That's, again, free education that we're more than welcome to give you, or educational benefits. Maybe it is a kid or a niece or a nephew or whoever that we're going to have. Indiana Tech's going to be there, and they're going to explain some educational benefits that they themselves provide for residents of Indiana. And that's the other thing that people have to understand. There's national benefits, and then there's state benefits that you don't even necessarily know about, like the property taxes or the educational benefits for your children or yourself, or whatever that is. Again, mental health offices and things like that. So we've had several different organizations reach out to us asking to be a part of it, because they want to get in front of the population and the loved ones too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so we know it's going to be March 8th from 9 to noon.
Yep.
You mentioned something about a ticket, and again, it's free. So the whole thing is free of charge. How does one go about getting a ticket? Now, what if you show up and you don't have a ticket?
Oh, well, if you show up have a ticket, it don't matter. I'm just trying with the event link, Eventbrite link. I believe will be in the description of this podcast, wherever you're seeing it. It's really just a guide for me to try to figure out how many people are going to show up.
Yeah, because you don't want to cook for 1,000 people and 20 show up, or vice versa.
Yeah, but we're going to make sure that we have, as far as the breakfast goes, they're probably going to make extra. I know Greenwood High School, they're going to plan. If I've got 10 or 15 people signed up for breakfast, they'll probably still plan for extras. So in case somebody shows up that didn't buy a ticket or didn't register, I should say register. Buy is a bad word. Register for a ticket. They'll still have something. Hopefully. If not, I can't obviously do everything. But again, the Eventbrite tickets or the registration is really more for just a head count, just to get an idea. Because anything like this, we all know that it's one of those things where it's kind of like inviting, your friends to a birthday party. 5 say they'll be there. 3 of those 5 say they're not showing up, but out of the 20 people you invited, 15 decide to show up and look at you and go, well, I didn't think I had to reply.
Right.
So that's okay. I'm the more the merrier as far as that goes. Greenwood High School's got a huge parking lot. We can accommodate a lot of people.
Yeah, we did the pro rider course. Wasn't that over at, oh no, that was something Career 9 or something like that.
Yeah, Career 9.
That was something. Or
C9 maybe
C9,
down the street, yeah.
C9. So yeah, that was actually not Greenwood High School, but
Harley's got that nice place down there too now in Whiteland.
Southside Harley Davidson does have a very nice place.
They've got their rider place, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the Greenwood area right there is a great area, because again, you come down, you do your expo and all that, and then you're right there. If you want to go grab lunch somewhere or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just, Greenwood's a good area for this to be at. And yeah, one of my questions was going to be, is this going to be a one-time thing, or are you looking at doing more of these later on and stuff like that? So kind of just depends on how this rolls. And
yeah, I'm hoping to make it an annual thing, and have it grow and have it different places. like I mentioned before, post 1919 with the Legion has a really nice banquet hall. I know you guys have been there. You said so. They have a nice space for it. Greenwood may be kind of the annual place, depending on if this is a good marriage between the two kind of things, because they need to do an event. We need to have a place. It may work out, or we may rotate it different places depending on, where we do things. So we'll see.
Okay, and you have a Facebook page, correct? Is there not a Facebook page for Real Military Expo?
I don't have a Facebook. I have the Eventbrite link has kind of a neat logo and things going on.
I know I saw it on Facebook, but I mean, if they're on Facebook, they can go to Real Military Expo, and
they can go.
Pops up.
They can go okay. So my Facebook page is the Indy Vet, and that in my events I have the event there. Okay. So yeah, that's where they can find it. Although I am posting in all the chatters, Greenwood, Center Grove, Decatur, all of them. If they're part of any of those, they've probably seen it at least once, if not multiple times. So
okay. And is that how, if somebody wants to get in touch with you ahead of time and say, hey, I want a ticket, hey, there's going to be 4 of us coming in for breakfast or whatever, is that how they get with you?
Yeah. They can definitely hit me up through my Facebook page. They can email me, Brad at theindyvet.com, and, things like that. You certainly email me and I can send you a link, and, you can sign up that way, however you'd like to do it, or I can put you down. Either way.
Good deal. Hey, Cameraman West, do you have anything you would like to add? I know you being a proud papa.
Not really. I think you covered everything.
Okay, because I'm looking at my notes here. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I know I think I hit everything I was wanting to make sure we hit. And then, so basically, future plans depends on how this one goes. Even if you get 5 people showing up, I hope you still try at least another time. Because I know we've done some things where, the first time you do it, it's a little smaller than what you thought it would be. And you go ahead and you do it again, and then you do get that bigger. You know what I mean? And eventually it does grow. Yeah. It's one of my favorite. Well, it's actually a scripture, but it's just forsake not small beginnings. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I have no problem starting off small. Not everybody gets to start off in a big luxury studio like we're in today.
This is true.
Most people start off much smaller than the grand scheme of where we're at right now. But yeah, I just hope, even if it's a smaller start than what you were expecting, I hope that you'll try it again. I know this is, and again, this is on you. This is something you personally decided this needs to be done.
Yes, I did, because I just think, like I said, I think 20 years is too long to wait to get some of those benefits that you're frankly entitled to. I mean, everybody always wants to talk about entitlements and this, that, and the other, and those of us that put the body on the line, put your mental health on the line, you deserve some of these benefits. And again, it's not necessarily the financial benefits, which obviously there are, but it's about taking care of yourself and your family too in the long run, and making sure that you don't end up a statistic, because that's the worst thing that anybody could have happen to them. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like you said, people come out of the military with that. You still got that same mentality of, I'll do it myself, I'll do it myself, I'll do it myself. Hey, bikers are very much the same way. We're too cool to say, hey, you know what? I can't do this on my own. I need help with this. And it does. There's a time that comes where, like again, you were saying entitlement. We do have a bad vision of the word entitlement, only because there are people out there who think they're entitled to everything, and it's like you haven't done anything to you haven't earned. You got to earn your right to be entitled. That's the way I look at it. Like you said, you're putting your life on the line. And I feel the same way about the police officers and firefighters and stuff. You're putting your life on the line, and you are entitled to some benefits, and we all need help sometimes.
Yep.
There are times, dude, I'll tell you what, when I lost my son to suicide, I thought I could just skate on through it like I didn't need anybody, and I could do it myself and everything else, and turned out I couldn't.
Right.
Thank God I had, I have a CDL. I was working at a sawmill, and I drove heavy equipment, and I also drove the trucks when needed. And I failed my physical for my CDL miserably because you have to go back every year and have that. And I had a doctor that was a real doctor, and she came in and she's like, "Do you want to tell me what's going on? You always pass your physicals. That's never been an issue for you."
Right.
And I was like, "Do you want the long version or the Reader's Digest version?" And she just sat down, and she canceled all the rest of her appointments for the rest of that day. She goes, "What's going on?" And I was able to start telling her everything that had taken place over the last year and a half of my life. And because I was able to finally talk to somebody, she found, and I did get on some medication, which I know a lot of people are against the antidepressants and stuff like that. I always was myself. But when you have a doctor that sits down and says, "I'm going to spend 3.5 hours talking to you, and I'm going to cancel all my other appointments," it was like when she recommends, "Hey, I want you to get on this on a very small dose for just a short while, and then I'm going to wean you off of that, and we're going to get you on some natural stuff that's going to really help you." And without that doctor taking time out, and then after that I learned, and then I did start going to some other meetings, and I started getting with other people that have gone through that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of having that hard, I'm tough enough to deal with this on my own.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's so important to have this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, everybody hears horror stories about VA hospital, right? I mean, if you say the VA hospital, that's even for people that have been, it's awful. And that's what they hear. But Johnson County and so many places around, not just Johnson County, but they have places that are outside the VA that, yes, are associated with the VA, but aren't the VA, that you can go to that provide maybe quicker service, because that is a downfall of VA. Sometimes you have to wait, especially when filing for benefits. You have to wait. I mean, it took me probably 6 to 8 months to get my first positive outcome through filing things. Now, granted, they back pay and they, back benefit and yada, 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 but that doesn't, it doesn't mitigate the fact that you're sitting there waiting. You filed, you get denied, and it's a game. And that's the other thing. We all have to learn how to play the game, and that's the other thing that I'm hoping that this thing does too, is teach some people how to play the game. Because if you don't know how to play the game, if you don't know the right words to say, the government's like everything else. They'll just deny you and move on. But I know Johnson County is a big advocate for saying the right things to, when you go in for your CNP exams or whatever it is. That way you can get positive outcomes, as positive as it's going to be at that time and things. So, yeah, I'm hoping just to have positive outcomes for 1 or 2 people. If I could make 1 or 2 people have a positive outcome from this whole thing, then it's definitely worth it. And we'll do it again next year. And if 2 more people get positive outcomes, then we'll do it again the next year. As long as I can continue to get positive outcomes out of it, it'll be. Hopefully, it's here to stay. Yeah,
well, I hope so. And I want to say thank you for, doing this on your own and again, that's what it takes, is somebody saying, "Hey, something's got to change. We need something different." Is our whole system perfect? Of course not. There's going to be flaws. There's flaws in every system we go into. I've always said that. I was a minister for many years and spent a lot of time in the church. And I'd see people all the time. They'd leave in church because they didn't agree with something that preacher said that day. I'm like, dude, I don't agree with everything the preacher says either. I've been to several churches. I've never left a church because I disagree with what that preacher says. It's like, yeah, sometimes we have a different a different interpretation of the same scripture. It doesn't mean one person's bad or whatever. And it's like, and again, the church is a flawed church. I tell people all the time, if you're looking for the perfect church, as soon as you go, you're going to have to find another one because you just made it unperfect. It's just not going to be perfect as long as the people are there. So we don't have a perfect system. But the more people that get involved and the more people that bring awareness to everything, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now the more people that start going through the system, you have a tendency to be able to change it better.
Yeah.
The more it's being used. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we call this a wrap?
Gosh, no, I don't think. I think we covered everything that it's really for. Just March 8th at, like I said, 9 o'clock. Starts at 9, breakfast. Then to noon for the fair. And come on out, see what we've got going on. And maybe you leave with a little bit of information, a little bit wiser. And some VA issues, whatever those issues are going to be that you have. So, and don't be afraid to come out, because it takes more strength to ask for help than it does to sit in a corner and not. So
that is the truth. And again, for you civilians out there like me, if you know somebody that can benefit from it and there's absolutely no way you can get them there, why don't you go over there and get the information and bring it back to them? If that's the best you can do.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, bring them out to this thing. If you can't get them out to it, then make sure you go out there, get some of that information that you can go back and help somebody else out with. Just going to do a quick shout out again. Badass Beard Care is veteran owned, and it is made right here in the US of A. Great beard oils, they got hair products, they got all sorts of stuff. Body washes, all that stuff. Ladendorf Law, personal injury lawyers, Ladendorf, Fregiato, and Bigler, the Bigler and Badler than ever. And then we got Krambo's out there on US 40 in the Texaco looking building for all your custom paint work, all your Harley mechanics, and all the bling you need is out there at Krambo's. And one quick shout out to Roy Rogers Heating and Air up in the Indianapolis area. You know what they say, giddy up. They don't really say that, but we do. And, but if you do call, if you need some heating and air work, call Roy Rogers Heating and Air, mention Steel Horse Thunder, and you will get that first service call for free. All right, Brad, thank you so much for coming out here.
Hey, thank you,
and
Scott,
talking with us. Would it be possible to maybe hook up on a Monday and do a Monday Night Live with us as we get closer to the date, and get you on a Monday Night Live where we can talk to the local community about this again?
I think that'd be great. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
All right, man. That sounds fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming out.
Hey, thank you.